said, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a good day so far and had a good first class. So we're going to start with do now. Make sure you are paying attention to the do now. Here's the do now. So as always, we start with a quote. We will be reading about Timbuktu, one of the king of this great city in Mali. One of the kings of Mali during the history was Mansa Musa, and we're going to read a little bit about the great city of Timbuktu today. But I have a quote today from a Times article from the Times reporter, and I want you guys, as I'm reading this quote, first of all, I want you to think about the quote. That's the first thing. And as you're thinking about the quote, I want you to think about what does this quote mean to you in regards to what we've been talking about, how people have said many lies or falsities regarding African history. And then you're going to write your answer in the chat. But don't start doing that now. Let me read the quote first so it can sink in as I'm reading it. You can think about your response, then we can jump. Here I begin. African king Musa Kita the first is thought to be the richest person of all time, richer than anyone could describe. Literally, his fortune was hold on one second. His fortune was incorruptible. There was really no way to put an accurate number on his wealth. I want you to think about this quote that I just read to you from a Times article. And I want you to answer this question in the chat. You have 2 minutes. When you read this quote, how does this quote discredit or disprove of people in Africa being poor during the Middle Ages? Write your response in the chat. Do that right now. You have 2 minutes.
And in your response, ground yourself in exactly what the quote says. Like in your answer, pick out those couple of words that actually showed you that it discredits. So when I look at your answers, I'm going to call the people out that actually have the words from the actual quote.
I love how Kyrie is focused and he's writing a response. I love how Mr. Adams is thinking about his response as he's writing and thinking about the quote.
Isaiah, in your response, add in words from the text that discredits. People are responding to me privately. Put it out to everybody.
One more minute. I love how Mazir is looking at the quote as he is writing the response in the chat.
And Talia, you put the quote in your own words. Your last line, when they go to share, I want you to read that out to everybody. Henrik, you did the same thing. You put it in your own words. Talia, can you write in the part of the text that you wrote in your own words? I mean the part of the quote that you actually put in your own words. Yep, Layla, you put in quotations, perfect. Janae, yep.
Oh, here we go. At this moment in time, you should have all your response Everyone should have their response written in the chat. Okay? So I'm going to call on a couple people to share out what the response was. Okay? So they can share with the class. Let me have Ms. Brooklyn. Can you please share out your response to the chat? Go ahead. Yeah, real quick.
My response says, this quote discredits people in Africa being poor by explaining how King Musa Kita was very rich and incomprehensible. This also shows how nobody knew exactly how much money he had.
Very good. Okay. 50 seconds. Look into the chat, all the responses that everyone wrote, because they're really good responses that talk about what we've been learning in class, trying to disprove these ideas and mindset about African history. That's what we're trying to do during this module, and that's what we're going to achieve by the end of this module. Okay, now let's move. Good job, everyone, for jumping in. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so we really did whole group share out. We're now moving, as always, as we begin our class, we are always reviewing the expectation of class, the norms. So I want everyone to look at this slide and ground yourself with these bullet points. And ask yourself, am I meeting all these bullet points currently at this moment as I'm sitting in class and looking at Mr. Bondoa? So take 30 seconds and look at these expectations at this moment in time and ask yourself if you're meeting these expectations are norms for the class. I'm going to give you 30 seconds for you to self-check and self-review. Great, I'm going to keep it moving. All right, so as always, before we begin our class, I always give you guys a preview of the exit ticket, what we're doing today in class in regards to what we're answering. So we're going to answer 2 questions today, and they're going to be multiple choice. I want you guys to think of these 2 questions as the class prolongs, as we're progressively going through the lesson, okay? Talia, can you please read the 2 questions in regards to the exit ticket for today?
Exit ticket preview. What best describes the central idea of social hierarchy section of the text? Which detail from the text supports the central idea?
Very good. Think about these questions. Think about these questions as the lesson is going through. Okay, standard skills. This is the standard skill that we're trying to learn today. Remember, we've been working a lot on 7.2 yesterday regarding understanding the central idea and objective summary. Today we're coming back to 7.1. Okay? Let's have Veronica please read what is the standard skill that we're trying to master by the end of this class. Go ahead, Veronica, loud and proud.
Cite several pieces of textual evidence to support your analysis.
Great, right? Thank you so much, Veronica. Cite several pieces of textual evidence. You might say, Mr. Bondo, what does that mean? It means basically we are looking to identify the correct textual evidence to support the analysis or our reasoning when we give our answers to our questions. Okay, you might say, Mr. Bondoa, how does this live in our lesson today? I don't know how are we going to be able to master the skill and read what we're going to read today. How does this live in our lesson today? Can I have Kyrie hop off mute and please read these 2 bullet points to the right? Go ahead, Kyrie.
Today we are going to practice reading a text and identifying textual evidence to support our analysis. Today's text will help us become effective readers because effective readers support their analysis from a text with textual evidence.
Very good. Okay? Good job. All right, so today we're practicing reading a text and identifying textual evidence in that text, the correct textual evidence that support our reasoning, as Kyrie mentioned, right? And you might say, Mr. Bondo, why are we doing this? The reason why we're doing this is the second bullet point to the right of the screen. It will help us become effective readers because effective readers understand that in order for them to have a great response to a question, they need to have textual evidence to support their reason. And that's what we're doing here. I'm trying to make you guys become effective readers today in class. Okay, my name is Mr. Bondoa. We're reading about Timbuktu today, and we're mastering the skill of citing textual evidence. How do we close the gap, Mr. Bondoa? Here are the 3 steps to closing the gap. Here's the end goal. This is what we're trying to do when we master the skill today. Can I have Mr. Adams? Can you please read the thinking steps that will allow us to be able to complete and achieve the mastery